Welcome to Film and Page. I'm Dominic, and this is another episode of Road to Dune. So I'm trying to get on top of all the Dune news. There's been quite a bit of it actually lately. And so in this video, I'm going to be talking about actually two stories. So the first one I'm going to be talking about is, it seems like we're getting a new Dune board game. So when I first read this article, I wasn't sure if this was like a digital online thing that they were talking about, or it's a physical board game. I think it's a physical board game. So let's get into it. So this article is from Nerd Stash. Dune Imperium board game in development by Dire Wolf Digital. Dune first released to the world as a novel way back in 1965. Now, 55 years later, it's getting another blockbuster movie and a brand new tabletop game from Dire Wolf Digital. Dire Wolf Digital developed digital titles such as Eternal, Raiders of the North Sea, and Pokemon Trading Card Game Online. The announcement was revealed on Dire Wolf's Twitter account and was really quite vague. It's as if the details were scattered throughout the dunes of Arrakis, awaiting to be picked up by sandworms. It will be called Dune Imperium and is inspired by the upcoming film by Legendary Studios. The game will use a combination of worker placement and deck building mechanics to succeed. The description of the board game is as follows. The power of the entire universe can be yours. And war is but one way to claim it. Your agents are ready. The cards have been dealt. The choice is yours. Who will you influence? Who will you betray? How far will you go to seize it all? It sounds like it will be a blend of Raiders of the North Sea with elements of Eternal Chronicles of the Throne. Raiders involves placing Viking warriors at different buildings on the map. Each building can earn resources, gain new followers, or prevent other players from succeeding on their turn. While Chronicles of the Throne plays similarly to Pokemon TCG, where each player builds and manages a deck of cards to combat each other. Dire Wolf has also translated popular board games into video games over the last few years, with one example being Graphil Games and Renegade Game Studios, physical board game Raiders. Now, there is no confirmation as to if Dune Imperium will be transformed into a video game, but it is a possibility in the future. So I found this article a little bit confusing, and maybe I'm going to sound like a boomer, but I wasn't sure, were they talking about, is this going to be a digital board game or an actual board game? But it sounds like it's going to be an actual board game that they might turn into a digital game. I'm hoping it's a board game because I like board games. So right now, being a Dune fan, it's getting expensive. There's a lot of Dune merchandise coming out. Just books alone that'll be coming out this fall with all the Dune comics and the Art of Dune. And the new novel by Brian Herbert and Kevin J. Anderson. And we just had the board game that came out, which apparently already has an expansion to it. And now we have this board game plus all the toys from Todd McFarlane that will be coming out at some point in the future. And who knows what else. Also, a pen and paper RPG at some point too is planned to be released at some point in the future. So it's getting expensive to be a Dune fan. Dune used to be a cheap fandom because there wasn't a lot of merchandise to it. Not like Star Wars and Star Trek, but it looks like that's going to be changing. And I can't really say that I'm sad to see it. I'm glad to see all this Dune merchandise coming out. And as a Dune fan, we don't know how the movie's going to perform. A lot of this stuff is, because we're getting a lot of this merchandise because we are getting a new movie. And if the movie bombs, we don't know how much of this merchandise we're still going to get afterwards. And we just got to ride the wave as far as it'll take us, I guess. But in the meantime, we'll have fun doing it. So this is interesting news, and this is another board game that I'm definitely going to pick up, along with the one that was released earlier. I think that was last year that one came out. So now the next bit of news I want to cover is not so happy. I don't know if it's going to be not so happy, but we'll see. Warner Media layoffs are about refocusing film schedule remains in flux. AT&T CFO says. So if you've been following people on comics Twitter, which I do. I follow a lot of comic book people and comic stuff because I'm interested in comics. I don't do a lot of comic videos on my channel, but I do them time to time. There was a huge, massive layoff that hit DC Comics. And it was mostly the editorial staff that got laid off. And it was people that had been with DC Comics for a long time. And it was AT&T just looking at stuff and just cutting the fat away. Because AT&T bought, the Warner Media, so because they want to start their own streaming service to compete with Netflix, and basically they see all the IPs that Warner Media has. I mean, it has DC Comics, it has Looney Tunes, now it has Dune on top of that because of the Dune movie, and Dune, the Sisterhood TV series that's going to be coming out on HBO Max. So a lot of stuff. But now this article, I picked 3 paragraphs out of it that I'm going to go through, and it may be that Dune 2020 might be pushed back. That's what it seems to imply with this article. They don't come out and say it. It's going to be that Dune will be pushed back, but well, I'll read it and I'll give my thoughts on it. A reorganization including major layoffs at Warner Media is designed to allow the AT&T Entertainment Unit to focus on streaming as a key growth opportunity, CFO John Stevens told an investor conference on Tuesday. Speaking at the Oppenheimer Virtual Technology, Internet, and Communications Conference, which was webcast, he also said the pandemic has been forcing us to look at new ways to distribute content, including outside cinemas and other ways of doing business differently. Addressing planned upcoming theatrical releases, he said, "I'm not certain where those are going to go," suggesting possible further delays in some of the titles as the cinema reopening and theatrical releases schedules have remained in flux. So in my area, there's no theaters that have been opened yet, and I don't know when they're going to start opening theaters. So the longer this goes on, the more the possibility that Dune will be pushed back, which I'm hoping it's not. I'm hoping they open the theaters soon. And because of everything that's going on, there's a lot of stuff that's open that I don't see any reason why theaters can't be open. I mean, there are bars that are open, restaurants that are open. I mean, you would just have to modify things, like maybe have half the attendance or something like that. I don't know how you could do it, but you could do it. So I think it should be time pretty soon to open up theaters, considering everything else that's open. So I'm hoping that this doesn't mean the news that this article is talking about. I hope it doesn't mean that Dune is going to be delayed. Because it's looking pretty, because this could actually work out. Now, there was someone on Twitter who kind of put out this theory. I should actually just do a video on that whole theory, that December's looking pretty good for Dune as far as competition goes. There's nothing out there because everything's been pushed back to 2021. So it would be wide open for Dune. There wouldn't be much else for anyone else to see. They could just go see Dune. And that would ensure that it makes money, and then we get part 2 of the film. So I'm hoping the movie does not get pushed back, and I hope theaters open soon. Like, I don't know how much longer they can keep the theaters shut down. Are they going to keep the theaters shut down until they find an actual vaccine? Who knows? But I hope it doesn't go on that long. I hope it opens up soon, and we can get to see this movie. Or at the very least, get to see the trailer. I don't see any reason why they are delaying the trailer any longer. So that's everything I got to say in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and I will see you at the next one. I'd like to say thank you to all of my subscribers. I appreciate you all in helping this channel grow. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you'll be notified when new videos are uploaded.